Greetings, my name is Slight, and we are going to be playing my Inish solo Automa against Brennus, the hostile chieftain. And I'm going to take you through the setup and guide you through a whole game, just so that you can kind of experience what the game is. Now, I am still working on this Automa, so it is very likely to have new things added to it, but the core of what we're doing here should remain the same no matter what. And because of that, we can show this off and have a good time. I am not sure how much editing I'm going to do in this video, so I'm not sure what I'll put up on the screen. Either way, this should give you kind of everything you need to play. So, first thing is I have removed out Warlord and Conquest from the action deck and added Clans, Army, and Emissaries. So now I have formed the augmented action deck. I have also removed out all of these Epic Tale cards. They are finicky to use in this game. And so let's set out the rest of these components. And we'll do a quick shuffle on these. And then we will go ahead and get started. So, setup is very, very similar to your normal game, and the goal of this Automa was to be as similar as possible to the original game, at least in spirit, in ideology. And I think we've been relatively successful here. So, let me just get to my spot here to make sure I don't forget anything. We are going to be playing on moderate difficulty. That just means that we don't get any bonus from playing on easy, and Brennus starts as the Bren. All right. Perfect. All right, first things first. Let's go ahead and draw two of these. Interesting. Actually, so this should be removed. The more is not valid. Glad we got that out of the way immediately. Highlands and Lost Vale. Highlands and Lost Vale. These are very interesting effects. Highlands allows you to defend that area very nicely, and Lost Vale allows us some very tricky stuff with this effect. So those are fun, all right? Because Brennus is the Bren, per the rules, we will use the Flock of Crows token to decide. Green is right, red is left. So the capital is on the right. Brennus will place their clan first. Now, if you look at the adding a clan in Brennus's personality rules, it says add to territories to meet the most number of aggro triggers, add to territories to become the chieftain in the highest number of territories, or add to capital. So if I added, one here, I become the chieftain. If I add one here, I become the chieftain. So the way that you do this in any hierarchy is you break ties with the next level. So because either allows me to be chieftain, then I would add to the capital. And then me as player, I think it's pretty simple. I think I'm going to go to the 1-in-1 strat. I think this Lost Vale card is pretty useful, and I don't think denying the Highlands is actually that impactful. Now, getting the Highlands is super strong against Brennus since he's so aggressive, and the Highlands is a very good card at defending from aggression, so it means that having control of the Highlands would be super important. In this case, placing here would not make Brennus the chieftain. Here he is already the chieftain, and so we just place in the capital again. And then I will place 1-in-1. I'd like to kind of have some presence in both of these. That'll allow me to do more things. So this is the way that the game begins. Perfect. All right. And now we are in a position where we can do the draft. Just making sure I'm not missing anything. I don't think I am, but you get a little nervous, when you're playing in front of people, right? It's one thing when you're just playing by yourself, right? Cool. All right. So advantage cards get dealt to both players. So I've got Lost Vale. Brennus here gets the Highlands. Now this goes face down into his action pool, his bonus pool. I actually should add that here. I'll make a note for myself. Bonus pool script. I'll add that to this little document there because that's useful to know while you're playing. But we're going to go ahead and do our draft. All right. Drafting, I find to be pretty fun. It feels like you're not given everything, and it's very intentional that Warlord and Conquest have been removed from Brennus because Brennus essentially has a monopoly on aggression. And that's very scary. That means that we have to use other means to actually be able to win against him, which is partially a design choice because it simplifies his combat rules. And since I want Brennus to be the simplest Automa, that makes the most sense. All right, so always you set one aside. That one's off limits. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got Sanctuary, Exploration, Clans Harmony, and Citadel. Now, let's say I picked Clans Harmony and Sanctuary. Because Citadel and Exploration are on Brennus's script, they would immediately go into his action pool, all right? Now, this doesn't mean that he plays these cards necessarily. This is just a pacing mechanism to represent the 6 actions that he's going to take on his turn. So these are 2 actions, but it's thematic because he's picking the ones that are on his script. He's picking the ones that he likes, right? Now, that makes it interesting because I could wheel. Wheeling means like it could come around in like the second half of the draft. I could maybe pick another one of these up. But Clans Harmony is rather weak early in the game. It's probably just one clan. Exploration is quite dangerous against Brennus sometimes when played early, especially because he's Bren. He often will place in a way that's not very good for us. Sanctuary, Citadel would be interesting if I could play before him, but because he is the Bren and he already has this action in his bonus action pool, on his first turn, he will actually consume this, and I will not be able to use the Citadel to actually grab it from him. So I it's Sanctuary for sure. Citadel's definitely not bad. It's not very inspiring though. There is a thought here for Exploration. And do I want one extra clan? Tricky. Not my favorite draft here. Let's go risky with Exploration. This could backfire on us. So Citadel goes into the action pool because it's on Brennus' script. Clans Harmony gets set aside. That'll get shuffled back in a second. And I go choose 2 from 4 again. So I've got New Alliance, Druid, New Clans, Craftsmen, and Peasants. So immediately, I'm really liking Druid and New Clans here. New Alliance is not bad. I could use it in Highlands to basically replace one of Brennus' clans with my own. But getting 2 clans, I think, is just more flexible and better. At least at this point in the game. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I think this is the best play. I really like getting Druid. It gives me a lot of room to be flexible. So Craftsmen and Peasants goes into Brennus' action pool. New Alliance is set aside. For the back end, we take what we set aside, so these 2 cards, and then we shuffle these in together. So thematically, drafted thematically, that means these could be sort of coming back to us, right? And sure, we'll just do that. So now I draw 2 and I pick 1. Do I want Emissaries? Emissaries is nice with Exploration. It's kind of a backup, but New Alliance is good tempo here in the Highlands. And so Emissaries goes into the action pool. I simply draw the top card, and that's Festival. I'm perfectly happy with that since I have Sanctuary. And then everything else becomes the 6 action cards of Brennus's action pool. Now, I was never offered Gies there, and it's very important that, in my opinion, for Inish to be Inish, you're not really ever supposed to get to see every card when you draft. So that is why the draft is the way it is. So I've got my hand of cards here. I've got Lost Veil. Brennus has his 6 action cards in his action pool, and he has his bonus action in the script here. So let's go ahead and get started. So if you look here on each of Brennus's turns, note that triggering things is only happening at it begins when Brennus's turn starts and ends when Brennus's turn ends. So it doesn't mean like you play your last action as per Brennus and triggers are done. It means there's sort of like a check before and after you do anything to make sure any triggers are met, right? So obviously no triggers are met right now. We play a 5. So that means over here that migration is primed. All right, now primed means it's ready to go. And when I prime something, I reveal the card, and then that gets discarded to the shared discard pile. All right, I get to reveal that because I may want to know what's in there for Druid later. That could change, maybe eventually or maybe a particular Automa could like hide that information from the player. That could be interesting, but for now, that's not the case. So this is primed, and because he has the cost of 1 card in his bonus pool, that's going to get utilized, and that lets him add a clan based on his add a clan functionality. So that's in a territory where he's present. There's only one option, and that's here. All right. Now, before we move on, we need to evaluate triggers. So migration here has a trigger of aggro. Aggro says, hey, for every territory where Brennus is, look at the adjacent territories and see if he meets the aggro trigger. And that is, how many clans do we have that are ready? In this case, we have 2 ready clans because Brennus always wants to leave 1 behind. And how many clans are in the target territory? That's 1. Do we have anything like Raid or Warlord primed, which would augment our ability to be successful? We do not. So right now, we have 2 ready clans versus 1 opposing clan. We need to meet a X value of 2 for the difference of these 2 things, and right now that value is 1. So we are not going to attack for Brennus. He is too scared. Or maybe if you want to be, courteous to him, he just wants to hold the Highlands. So now it is my turn. One thing that's very important, this is sort of a strategy tip. So one thing I'll say is that I'm likely just going to play, which means I'll talk about what I'm doing. So I apologize if that gives you strategy tips you didn't want. It's kind of tricky. I've got a lot of options here. I could do New Alliance to replace one of his clans here with one of mine. That would put us tied in the Highlands. And he would no longer be Chieftain of the Highlands, which might be useful for maybe a variety of options. A variety of things could be value for that. The big thing that I am worried about is that he is going to roll one of these sort of prime abilities and then attack me. So what I'm going to do is play new clans, and I'm just going to add 2 of my clans here. Now, I can play Lost Veil. And drag my clan or one of his clans into Lost Veil, but I don't see a value in doing that right now. So that's it for my turn. All right, Brennus goes again. And the way that I like to do this is I will pay the action card before rolling. So emissaries. Then I roll. I got an 8. Ooh. Okay, so now we've primed Warlord. Very scary. So Warlord is -2 to the aggro trigger. So at this point, we would evaluate triggers again, right? Something's changed. And just as a reminder, you're always evaluating triggers on Brennus's turn, right? If he ever meets any of these sort of triggers to use any of his abilities, they would be used immediately. And as a reminder, you've already paid the action cost, and any amount of primed actions can happen in a single turn. So, we've got 2 ready clans versus 3 opposing clans, and -2 to the X diff. So right now, we are at -1. What's the best way to describe this? I feel like I'm having a hard time describing this the way I'd like to. Right now, Brennus is outnumbered by 1, all right? But he has a value of 2 plus I conceptually understand what I'm trying to say, but I'm not saying it very eloquently. Let me read this to make sure I can hit it. Ah, I see. Okay, so any adjacent land has X fewer player clans than Brennus's ready clans. We've got 2 ready clans, and we're opposing 3 of the player clans, which means that, and we have Warlord primed, which means X is 0. So, as long as we have the same number of ready clans as the opposing clans, we would attack. All right? We would trigger the aggro trigger. But because we don't, we actually have 1 fewer, we don't attack. That was a little harder to explain than I expected. All right, back to me. So I'm very tempted to play Sanctuary here, but if he plays something like New Clans, Craftsmen and Peasants, or he gets Raid, that's 3 of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's a 50% chance for him to, if I take a slow turn here, for him to be able to attack me. Which is pretty tricky. But if I don't take the risk, I'm in a position where it may be very difficult. Okay, I think we just make the highest tempo play. I'm going to play New Alliance. Choose an opponent with 2 or more clans in this territory and replace 1 with one of yours. A little espionage there. All right, back to Brennus. We're going to go ahead and pay the cost, which is Clans Harmony. Roll a 1. Okay, that's Citadel. So excuse me, that actually immediately resolves. It's not primed. So Citadels, adding Citadels in Brennus's personality has a variety of things here. So first thing is, there's no place that we can play this legally that would steal an advantage card. If Brennus had a clan here, that would be very bad, because he'd play this and he would steal this, and then that would go into his bonus pool, which could conceivably be bad. Because he'd have to pay 2 to get a bonus, it won't matter, but it could be bad, right? But he can't do that. So the reality is the only valid place he can play is the Highlands, so he places there. All right, and it is back to me. I feel much safer now. I'm going to go and play Sanctuary. And I draw 1 Epic Tale card. Nuada's Sword. During a clash, when an opponent plays a Triskel card, nullify that effect. Then draw 2 Epic Tale cards and give 1 of them to this opponent and add the other to your hand. Oh, that's an awesome card. So, by giving Brennus a Epic Tale card, I would be filling up his bonus pool, but conceivably that is worth it, especially because I can nullify something like a Warlord, which he currently has primed. So, let's play for Brennus. Citadel. That is a 6, which means that now we have Conquest and Migration primed. All right, nothing else happens, no trigger changes. I think I'm good to play Druid, which means I will look through this and get to pick something else. And I'm not opposed to just slamming Sanctuary again. Let's try that. Druid's back. All right. And Brennus, Bard, and goes 1. 1 has already been rolled, so I roll again, and I got a 2. 2 is new clans. New clans. Very obvious here. He only has one valid place to play, so he places here, and then we evaluate triggers. This is not good. I think I played a little too greedy here. So, because Warlord is primed, now one thing that's interesting here is, actually I think this is a perfect example of when to employ the golden rule. The golden rule says, under duress, right? In any case where the rules are ambiguous or unclear between choices, choose the one that you suspect is worse for you. So right now, it is not clear whether migration or conquest is the action that should be used to initiate this. But because conquest is the one that is less flexible, I think that is the better one to use, meaning it's worse for me as the player. So I'm going to have him do that using the golden rule. So because he has 3 ready clans against my 3 ready clans, and he has Warlord, which means that all he needs is the same amount of ready clans as the clans in the target territory, he attacks. All right. So luckily, I've got Nuada's sword here. His first move is to attack. And do I want to discard a card? Sure. I'll just discard Festival, because it's essentially the same as gaining one, right? And then it is my turn, but because this is the first opportunity for him to use Warlord, and that is the trigger, first opportunity, he will use Warlord. All right? Now that is resolved, but I will cancel out his Warlord effect by playing Nuada's sword, and then we'll draw 2 cards here. All right. Oh, I don't know these names. Okay. When one of your clans is removed, place it in a different territory where you're present. It does not initiate a clash. Oh, man. Tail to's land. Draw 3 territories from the pile. Place one of them in an empty location. Place the others face down at the bottom. And then you can move one of your clans. I do not think that this will be valuable for me right now. So I'm going to give him this, and I will take this. Okay, now this could mean that on his next turn, if he had one more advantage card, for instance, that he would get his next bonus pool action because it is a cost of 2, right? And this could mean that by getting this during the season, he would be able to pay that 2, and then he would be able to do this bonus action. That happens actually relatively frequently. Okay, he attacked. I discarded. He tried to Warlord me. I said no. We resolved that effect. It is now my turn. I attack him. He loses a guy. He attacks me. I lose a guy. He loses a guy. I lose a guy. He loses a guy. All right. That feels pretty good to me. And now it is back to my turn, if I'm not mistaken. That Epic Tail card really saved my behind. Okay, let's do Sanctuary again. So I'm going to draw an Epic Tail card. Exchange the capital with a citadel from a shared territory where there's at least 1 sanctuary. What a unique card. A lot of limitations on that. Okay, we did this. We need to add a sanctuary. And then I'm going to play Lost Vale and actually move his clan into Lost Vale with me. That way, he loses the Brenship. And then Lost Hit is used, Sanctuary gets discarded, and we pay Craftsmen and Peasants. And we got 8, but 8's already been used. We get 5, 5's already been used. And we get 3 Craftsmen and Peasants. Now, this is a unique case that I actually haven't run into the game. I do think it might be invalid for him to play this since he has no cards. Like, it might be a reroll scenario, which would mean that there's only 2 valid options. I think I like that because the only time that this would ever happen would mean that the player's gotten an early advantage. So I'll put a little star to kind of add that unique little wrinkle there, because I don't think it's valid for Brennus to be punished in the early game like this. So instead, I've only got, it actually turns out I only have 4 and 7 as valid rolls. And so what I usually do is split the D8. So because I rolled a 3, we will essentially say that, oh, you rolled on the top half, you're going to do the top action. So we would resolve action 4, which is exploration. All right. Oh, and Brennus is supposed to pick a spot. He picks a spot based on some specific criteria in his personality. So we'll always place new territories adjacent to the fewest player clans possible. Well, there's really no valid option besides this one. So he's going to place here. He gets to add his clan, and we get to add the very powerful Valley effect. Lots of very strong territories coming out. Perfect. All right, this does not get consumed and will stay in Brennus's hand until the next season. He's now out of action pool cards. Brennus, unless by some miracle he gains something to... Actually, that's not true. When he's passing, even if he were to get his bonus pool up again, those would not work. He can only do his bonus if he has an action to actually play. So that's done. Valley's just sitting here. I have one more card. And I will go ahead and play Exploration here. Now, this is where things get a little tricky, right? It's not clear that this is good for me, but that's why it's a risk, right? So the Bren would choose, and now we get a little bit more interesting. So Brennus will always place new clans adjacent to the fewest player clans possible. So that means this would be an invalid choice compared to this, because here we only have 1 clan, here 2 clans. I'm going to just check my recording real quick. Oh, we're still live. Perfect. Okay. So Brennus will choose here. We choose the Misty Lands. All right, that's there. And then I get to go there. And then we just need to get the Misty Lands out. So the Misty Lands. Discard 1 or more action cards to draw that number of epic tail cards. Choose 1 to keep and discard the rest. Okay, jumping back in. All right, so this is the end state of the first season. I think for a lot of people, this is going to give you kind of everything that you would need to understand how to play the game. So if that is the case and your goal is just to learn how to play the Automa, then you've got what you need. But I'm going to finish this game out and we'll see how it goes. So let's go to the next season. All right. So I am now the Bren, which I would say is quite a big deal. I am in quite a good state compared to where I normally am in these games. So I've got the Highlands now. This is very strong. When a clash sort of starts the meat of the clash, I get to choose whoever I want to start that clash and resolution step. Really what that means is I get to attack first, even if I'm attacked. At least in a two-player game, that's what it means. It has more nuance in a multiplayer game. That doesn't apply. And then I could discard some action cards to draw epic tale cards. I could see that being very useful if the action cards I have are not very strong. So looking forward to using those. And anything else? Nope. Flock of, I would flip this if it mattered, but it doesn't matter. The turn order doesn't matter in a two-player game. So let's get to the draft. And so Brennus gets the Valley here. And so he's got 2 actions in his action pool, his bonus pool, excuse me. Remember that advantage cards are always used up before epic tale cards. And that's because, in the same way, these are something that might come back. The epic tale card is a sort of a one-time use, right? I always shuffle to the point that I don't know, there's some feeling that has to happen. All right, I'm going to set 1 card aside, and then I am going to draft. So we got Festival, Druid, Bard, and Craftsmen and Peasants. Craftsmen and Peasants is pretty good. In each territory where you are present, you may place 1 clan for each citadel in that territory. So that would be 2 clans there. And I do like the Druid. I do think we're going to do some battle, most likely. So maybe trying to get this deed from Bard would be really strong. Yeah, maybe we try Craftsmen and Peasants and Bard here. And then, but no Druid, no Festival, huh? Festival's pretty good. Would be a way to defend myself against Lost Vale here, which is a place that I think is pretty spooky. Tough choice. Let's do this. All right, so these are not on Brennus' script, so they don't go into his action pool. And then I draw 4 more. Clans Harmony would only give me 1 here. New Alliance doesn't have an immediate usage. Migration is the only way that the player can, without an epic tale card, start a clash. And I could try to end this game early because I seem to have probably the best start that I've ever had against Brennus here. So why not try that? Why not see how that goes? So no cards that we drafted went into this pool. So all 4 of these go here because Brennus did not want them. We give these guys a good shuffle. And draw 2. I'm already on 3 places, which is pretty good, but it does mean that I'm quite undefended. And I don't see Citadel. I think Druid's pretty safe. It's just low tempo. There is a case to be made for exploration, though. Especially since I'm the Bren, right? That's the time. So Druid goes into his action pool. I just get the top card of the deck, which is Festival, which is awesome. And then all of these get shuffled. And we are ready to game. And I'm the Bren, so I get to play first. Highlands, Misty Lands. I think the first order of business is to lower the chance that I get attacked here at Lost Vale. So I'm going to do a festival, which adds a clan as well. I'm still in a position where he's very likely to Citadel here and steal this Lost Vale and be able to trigger his second bonus action. But at least it's much more unlikely that he's actually going to attack Lost Vale. So again, based on, I think, what is a reasonable rule here, craftsmen and peasants should pretty much never be played. And so in this case, what we would do is we would just choose the only options available, and we would prime raid. And Druid has been played and discarded. All right, so now we reset the script. The circle goes there, and now all of these are valid. Note that Conquest and Raid are already primed. Raid does not have a reprime action, but Conquest does. And so we want to keep in mind that if I roll a 5 on my next movement, that I would need to check what the reprime condition is for Conquest. And it looks like there's 2 options there, so we'll see if that comes into play. All right, now we do use a bonus action here, and that's going to add a clan. So, adding clans, I can only add this clan in a territory I'm present. So, add to territories that meet the most number of aggro triggers, if possible. Add to territories to become the chieftain the highest number of territories, or add to the capital. Now, this is a unique case where we don't actually have a rule. So what I would do under normal circumstances is just do the golden rule and do the thing that I think is worse for me. I think what's worse for me is that he builds up in the valley here, putting pressure to attack Misty Lands. I think he's fine sitting here in the Lost Vale. I don't think anything needs to happen there. I feel pretty happy about that golden rule. But I will make a note to look at adding clans and see if there is kind of another way that we can reword this to be a little bit more suggestive in this situation. Perfect. I played that on my turn. That was his turn. Now it's my turn again. I've got new clans, migration, bard, craftsmen, and peasants. Now I think if he rolls Citadel, he's going to Citadel there. So that makes me want to hold off on craftsmen and peasants. And because I have 2 characters here, when evaluating the aggro trigger, because I have the same number of clans as citadels, this is not a valid place for him to be aggressive to. Maybe that's a little too exploitable. Maybe there's a way that the rules can account for that. But we will take a look as the game unfolds. It may not actually be an issue. But for me, I think what we want to do is probably just a little bit of new clans. Let's keep it simple. When in doubt, add more clans. Where to? So I think I really want to try to keep a hold on this sanctuary area. I don't know if this is valid. I almost feel like I just want to sort of be very strong here, as opposed to trying to hedge against this Misty Lands effect, or Misty Lands territory. Because if he takes a big army out here, well, it is not great, is it? I think I feel confident about this, even though I don't know why. All right. We revealed that. We roll. We get a 2, which is new clans. We have Conquest and Raid Prime. Raid is -1 to X, so we need 1 more ready clan than the target area. And so, oh, interesting. So actually, we need to do a little bit of a rewind. So I'll still do that. That is on the list. I put a 2 there. It should be an X. But I made a mistake when evaluating this. So when I played new clans, we missed a trigger. So the reality is when this got added, Conquest... Oh, no. No, I didn't do anything wrong. That goes there. And then he does add 2 new clans, and he would add them here. That makes the most sense. Because these are added to a land that actually meets the aggro trigger. Because he needs 1 more ready clan than is available in the target land. So this would now be a valid place for him to go and attack because of the new clans that he added. And he is going to do that. So he's going to attack me. He starts the attack. I am not going to discard any of my cards, which kills my guy, but when that happens, I will play, when one of your clans is removed, place it in a different territory where I'm present. I think we just want to go here, right? Let's do that. Okay, but, so that consumes his migration, and now he is going to use raid. Again, these have already been paid for with actions. They're just all happening at once. Raid is going to discard one of my green cards, which is terrible. Yeah. Oh. Okay, not ideal. All right, Brennus, you done yet? All right, that's Brennus's turn. I could take a risk and try to attack him. I don't see that as too bad of a move. It's just a bit risky. But I think getting this deed would be very strong if that's a possibility. Let's give that a shot. I'm going to do migration. And I'm just going to send 2 guys here. And attack. Now, that starts a clash. To me, beginning it. One thing that I notice in Brennus's actions here is he has a significant advantage on action cards. And that is a lot to do with the fact that I played Festival, New Clans. No, he... Did I play New Clans? Oh. I played Migration, right? So it really doesn't make sense for him to not use some of these action cards when he has such an advantage in action cards. So I wonder how that should work out. For now, we're going to play it as is, but that's on my list. Okay, so we're going to play as is. He simply dies. And the reality is, I can only send one. I can send 1 here and kill him, and that's totally reasonable. But I do want to send 2 because that is going to be a little bit more resilience against the aggro trigger here with his clans here in the Misty Lands. But because I removed one of his opposing clans, I will take a deed. And then I got exploration here. All right, it's his turn. He burns Citadel. Oh, that was him playing new clans with Citadel. Now he burns Gies and rolls. And he gets a 3, which is craftsmen and peasants, but there's no valid place for him to play, so he will not do that. And then he explores. I am the Bren, so I get to choose the location, and I will choose here. Ah, interesting, Cove. Let's do this like this. We are not going to be playing with harbors, and he plays a character there. All right. And now it's back to me. I don't know about all this exploration. Doesn't seem too bad for me to explore here, but I think I'm going to pass once first. So it's back to Brennus. He gets a 7, which primes Raid. Emissaries. I'm going to pass again. 8, Warlord. Oof. So that's -3 on his aggro trigger, but he has nothing right now primed as far as a way to move. I'm pretty sure I forgot to do this. That's why it's very important to discard before. Oh, no, actually, I'm incorrect. I think he does have 2 more actions here, which is crazy. Oh, gosh. I goofed. I think that's gone. Need to get a little bit more thoughtful about that. Maybe there's a way that I can make the scratch area a little bit better so that it's easier to know exactly how many you have done. Maybe there's a way to do that. Maybe like numbering system instead of doing these X's and O's. If I did like action 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then like B1 for bonus action. That's kind of a cool idea. Either way, he's very scary. I think that I am going to pass again. He gets a 1. Ooh, Citadel. Okay, this is not good. So he could take the Cove. Or he could take Lost Vale. I guess it doesn't really matter in this case. I don't think there's a worse or better. I'm just going to take the Cove because it's closer to him. And this was the payment for that action. Oh my gosh. I think. But he meets his secondary bonus action, discards this, and then so he gets to roll again on tempo. 1's already been used, 2's already been used, 8 is already primed. That does not trigger a reprime yet because the script hasn't been reset. So this is not a valid roll in the new script for a reprime yet. 8, 5, it is. And that is Migration, which is a little scary, but actually not too bad. So it's a -3. He's going to send 2 people here, right? Because he needs, he will attack even if I have 1 more clan than he has. Now this was a mistake on my part. I'm going to get punished for this. I should have played Exploration last turn because he is basically going to use Raid to get it removed. So this actually puts me in a little bit of a tough spot. Either way, he attacks first. I'm just going to go ahead and discard this, right? That's the best play. It's just to discard this instead of the clan, because his raid would go, well, I kind of want that raid to trigger, don't I? Right? Oh, well, I guess it's fine. It's bad either way. It actually is a wash. So I'll discard that when he attacks. He is going to trigger his raid, which says, take a random action card from their player's hand. If they have 0 action cards, remove one of their exposed clans instead. Oh, that's right. He takes it into his hand, right? Isn't that how raid works? That's crazy. I think I misplayed raid earlier. Yeah, you take it. So you actually gain it into his action pool. So I think there was a slight misplay earlier. Either way, in this case, what it does is it removes another clan. So it would remove one clan because I defended one clan by discarding. Now it is my turn to attack. I will attack, and I'll kill one of his dudes. He attacks, I lose a dude, and he comes out ahead. And earlier he played Citadel here. Okay, that is the end of Season 2. Things are looking a little spooky right now. I don't think that I gained very much that season, but he is Chieftain of 3 areas. I didn't improve my sanctuary. I did get a deed, and the deed is very strong. So, okay, I can't count myself down too much. And I maintain the Brennship. So, not too bad. And being the Chieftain of Lost Vale, I think is super strong. Okay, so season is over. The unused card was Sanctuary. Cool. Got it. So he gets Valley Cove and Misty Lands. I get Highlands and Lost Vale. And I still have this Sacred Hill of Tara. Exchange the capital with a citadel from a shared territory where there's 1 sanctuary. What a wild card. That is from the Seasons of Inish expansion. That is wild. So the scary part now is that he's getting a bonus action. He's going to get a clan, then a bonus action every single turn until I can kind of reduce his foothold in the number of clans that he's the chieftain of. All right. Man, it was kind of a bummer that the sleeves for the Legendary Edition didn't turn out like I hoped. I haven't got my survey yet as to whether I want to keep them. I'm like pretty conflicted about it because I kind of want it, but man, the yellow ones are just so bad. Like I just don't want the yellow ones. So maybe I'll just get like clear ones for the yellow cards. I mean, it's the Legendary one, so like maybe I just, yeah, I don't know. All right, time to draft. First things first is we'll just put one of these off to the side. All right. Migration's hard to pass up. I've got a pretty good consolidated force. Craftsmen and peasants here looks pretty strong. Citadel. I think we'll do these two. Interesting. That's a lot of old Brennus's favorite cards there. Clans Harmony, only looking at 1 there. New Alliance, also not good. We'll definitely take Sanctuary. I think we'll take Bard as well. Although I do need stuff to add clans. It can be kind of risky to not do that. But this is probably just going to be one clan, although that might shift during this season. So I think I'm going to take New Alliance. So these two get set aside, but they're going to get immediately shuffled. And then Druid or Emissaries. Emissaries is really good once we start getting into these later turns. But Druid's very flexible. Let's try Druid. Very close. Very close. And then we take the top card, which is Bard, just like I planned it. And let's do this. Alright, I have gotten to stay Bren 2 in a row. Now, one thing I'm realizing is that this sort of hiding out, where you have the same number of people as citadels, is something that I think maybe what I would do is consider that, like, maybe there's a way that I can still incentivize Brennus to want to come and attack this area, right? Not sure what that is yet, but maybe there's a way. Okay, how do we want to start off? Probably... Okay, actually, not ideal. Things are not ideal. This is 2, but I kind of want more. But it's kind of risky to wait. So I'm just going to go ahead and play this. We'll cash in our value of 2 clans here. All right. It is Brennus' turn. We're going to pay first. Clan's Harmony. That is a 3, which is finally a valid play. Boom, boom. And then now we know that... I forgot. When I was resolving this, I also should have used Warlord. And that would have added another clan. And he would have been given an opportunity here to withdraw, so I kind of misplayed this battle by him, but he should have used that Warlord to add another little dude here. So I goofed on that. So we skipped 6, which is Conquest, and so now we've got a script reset after we did 3. 3 will add 1 clan here. And we will use one of these for his bonus action, which will add a clan. And so we want to add a clan where we could meet the aggro trigger, not seeing that, or where we could become chieftain, or the capital. Again, our adding clan text here does not address this particular situation. It's actually, this is the first time I've ever been able to get the Bren out of the capital, which is why we've run into this situation. So I'll use the golden rule for now, which is which one's worse, and I think that's the Valley. That's just a centralized army, not ideal for me. That's my gut. All right, back to me. I did not get a lot of adding clans, which is important. I really think I should have taken Emissary, because if I could move someone here, well, then I would have gotten way more out of craftsmen and peasants. So I think that was a mistake. I think what we'll do is we'll just do Sanctuary. We're going to hedge our bets here and put it here. That's not hedging our bets. That's the opposite. We're going all in. So we got the Fianna. During a clash as a maneuver, move 1 or more of your clans, whether exposed or protected, from the clashing territory to one adjacent territory without initiating a clash. As a maneuver, you kind of just get to sneak one person out of there. Okay, interesting. So after playing that, I do think I'll use the Lost Veil to pull one of my characters here. I really want to defend the Lost Vale if I can. All right, scary turn coming up. Let's burn first. Gies is in. I actually might want that Gies. Haven't got a chance to have Gies the whole game. We prime Warlord. And then we consume 2 advantage cards for the second action on the bonus script, which is a bonus action. And that is a 5. All right, Warlord, and 5 is Migration. So he will attack anywhere where he has the same number of ready clans as the opponent. So this would be invalid because that is 3. This would be invalid because that is 4 versus 3. Notice that this is considered a ready clan for this attack because it will participate in this attack. So I don't think we have any valid aggro triggers. It gets a little complicated to do. Like, you might think like, oh, well, he should attack here, right? But it gets a little complicated because it's unclear what to be systematic. Because if the player does this, yeah, it makes perfect sense. But if the player doesn't do that, well, it gets a little bit more complicated, right? I think so. Brennus is holding. He's holding. It's back to me. I think I really want that Gies. Thank you. I really want that Gies. All right. Brennus, what are you up to? 5. So that is not ready for a reprime because the script hasn't been reset. 1 is Citadel. Oh, good thing I used that lost. Oh, this is immediately used. Did I pay before I played? I did not. That's exploration to the discard. No more bonus actions. He plays Citadel. And so he's going to prioritize, based on his script here, adding to a territory where an advantage card can be stolen. The only one I have is Highlands. Add to a territory nearest to human player forces where Brennus has only 1 clan and no Citadel exists. So I think that would be here. And that makes a lot of sense, right? He's sort of protecting this from being destabilized. Smart move, Brennus. All right, it's up to me. New alliance. Could do migration, but it's really hard to remove him from any of these clans currently. I am just 2 sanctuaries away. So maybe I just play Bard for the... You know what I noticed here is during clashes, there's no information about whether he'll jump into a Citadel or not. Now, granted, again, you should solve this with the golden rule. What's worst for you? But I do think it's probably worth being in the rules, right? The only reason I say that is it indicates that the game is not unplayable because that's not specified. I think I'm just going to draw an Epic Tale card. Remove 1 clan from any territory. Oh, that is so good. That is so good. Interesting. Okay, it's his turn. 3 is Craftsmen and Peasants, which is much better for him now. There we go. I'm glad he doesn't have Conquest. Migration is far weaker for him being spread out like this. Did I pay to play? No, I did not. Emissaries. Okay. I've got Gies ready for what if he tries to attack me. But I kind of want to do some shenanigans with migration here. So why don't I try this? The tough thing is he's going to use Warlord, which makes any attack very bad. Maybe I can't use that. If I had the Misty Lands, I could just discard this for something else. Do I pass? So if I move people, yeah, there's really no good place to attack. Maybe I just place one clan, try to keep my tempo up. Try to defend all my sanctuaries here. Oof. All right, Brennus, what do you got? Pay to play. Festivals out. 1, already been rolled. 6, conquest. All right. We have definitely triggered an aggro now. So, ready clans, 1, 2, 3, 4. X is 0 because of warlords, so I need to have the same number, at least the same number of ready clans as the target territory. Here they have 3 clans and probably 1 to kill. The alternative would be here. That is 1, 2, 3, 4 ready clans against 5. So that keeps Lost Vale from being attacked. That one clan I added would have definitely made the difference. When choosing territories to attack, he would have gone for Highlands no matter what, because there's no Brennus clans. So no matter how this went, we were getting attacked here. So conquest triggers. And he attacks. I will discard migration because I don't think I can really use it. Oh, is that true? I bet I can use it. Actually, hold up. He's attacking me in the Highlands. So I will play Highlands, and I will choose myself to start. But before we do that, I think I will garrison one of my guys. I think I'm going to leave 2 so I can kind of thin out his stuff here, because I've got some tricky stuff to do. I will start, and then during a clash as a maneuver, I'll play the Fianna, move 1 or more of your clans from the clashing territory to one adjacent territory. So I'm going to move this here. All right. And that does not initiate a clash. That was my maneuver. Now he goes, and he will attack. And I'll lose a guy. Now it is his turn. He will use Warlord because this is the first opportunity to do so, which gives him person. And then we need to look at what he does if no exposed clans exist. He will withdraw to a valid territory if withdrawing would cause the withdrawn to territory to meet the aggro trigger. So if I move 4 clans here, that means I have 4, 5, 6 ready clans. So as his final maneuver in this battle, he will withdraw to the valley, leaving only 1 clan in the Highlands. And then, because he's withdrawn here, he actually still has migration primed. And that will, migration. So that would only be 4 here. So that is not enough. He does not meet the aggro trigger. So that is actually a mistake. These would stay here. If it was conquest, it might be different. But to be clear, so just so I make sure that I do this correctly, it'd be 4, 5 with nothing primed. So he does not go. There's an interesting consideration here as to whether or not Warlord should be used if there are no exposed clans left. And I will consider that. Okay, big turn. Looks like Brennus is back at his stuff. I didn't want to Gies any of that because I think that is within my game plan for the moment. I am going to pass. Rolls a 1, it's already rolled. Got to pay to play Citadel. 2 is new clans. So he's already meeting an aggro trigger for here, is he? So that's, no, he's not. So currently there's 5. If he added 2 here, that would put him to 6 ready clans plus 7, which would be 2 more, and he would trigger this migration to attack. So I am going to Gies his new clans. That still gets marked off, but I survive, and I think I potentially got the win here. So on my last move, I'm going to migrate. I'm going to do, actually no. I'm going to do Baylor's Eye and remove this clan. Then I'm going to play migration, choose this territory, move 1 here, and 3 here. And then this initiates a clash where I attack, he attacks, I attack, and I have 2 here. I take the Pretender token because I have 5 territories and a deed, and I win. Good game, Brennus. Well, hopefully that was interesting and showed you how to play the game. I will make updates to the script based on some of the stuff that we learned here. And that was the moderate difficulty. The game gets I would say it is a significant step up with each of the difficulty modules that I have provided. I don't know if impossible is possible to beat. I have not beaten it yet. Anyway, good game.